Welcome back, all you hellions. I am very excited for this video. This is my first ever October video. I'm very excited about it because October has always been my favorite month, fall has always been my favorite season, and Halloween has always been my favorite holiday. So I tried to decide what exactly I wanted to talk about with this first ever October video, and I thought I would go back to the roots of horror for me. I want to talk about what my sister and I what we used to watch during the Halloween season. Not all of the movies and cartoons that I'm going to be showing you are based on Halloween. Others were just filmed in the autumn, and others still, for some reason, it screamed Halloween to me, even though it wasn't necessarily Halloween. So let's start with the cartoons. Disney put out several Halloween and just spooky themed cartoons. We'll start with the Skeleton Dance, 1929 I believe it was. And it was exactly that. Skeletons that came up from the grave and did a spooky, funny dance. For some reason as a child, I absolutely loved it. Another one of the same year, 1929, was Mickey Mouse, The Haunted House. In this one, Mickey meets Death, who insists that he play the piano even though he can't play. Another dance ensues with Death, skeletons, a couple of other things, and it was just a fun one that I really enjoyed. Another cartoon that I enjoyed that was Disney was called The Lonesome Ghost. In this one, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are ghost catchers. Ghosts hear about them and invite the trio to the house they are haunting to play pranks on them. Super cute cartoon. That was always one of my favorites. We then have Trick or Treat, 1952. Donald Duck plays a trick on Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Unfortunately for him, this trick is witnessed by Witch Hazel and her broom, Beelzebub. The two help the boys get revenge on Donald. Although all of these are good, this was my favorite of all the Disney cartoons. I think your littles will like these if they don't mind old school. Next up is Halloween Tree of 1993. This is based after a book of the same title of 1972. I still watch this almost every year. It just really brings the spirit of Halloween for me, and I just absolutely love it. It follows a group of friends who, while trying to save their friend's life, learn the meaning behind their Halloween costumes. There's a skeleton, witch, gargoyle, and mummy. When I was a kid, my dad agreed to buy me this movie if I chopped down the bush that was in the backyard. Needless to say, I own this on VHS. And now for the last cartoon on this list. We have The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, 1949. The book was written in 1820. It follows the story of Ichabod Crane, an odd yet charismatic school teacher who is new to the town of Sleepy Hollow. This is also the tale of the Headless Horseman, told with multiple catchy and fun songs. A really cool memory that I have when I was a child is there was a Halloween special, and when they played this movie, they had this guy wearing a pumpkin head, and he was the one who was actually talking about the movie. So every commercial, when it was the end of the commercial break, he would pop up and he would talk about it. It was just really cool, and I've tried to see if I can find that airing, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. I guess YouTube doesn't have everything. Next is the first movie on the list. It's Disney's Mr. Boogedy, 1986. The Davis family has just moved to town and bought an old, creepy, haunted house. I absolutely love it. I would totally live there, just saying. The ghost that haunts this house is that of Mr. Boogedy, an old pilgrim. He was in love with the widow Marion, and when she turned down his proposal of marriage, he kidnapped her son, who all of them die in the house. He and the widow Marion's ghosts are also still on the premises. Now we move on to Bride of Boogedy in 1987. The Davis family, believing they had vanquished Mr. Boogedy forever, find out they were wrong. Mr. Boogedy is back and looking for his bride. This time, he sets his sights on Mrs. Davis, believing her to be the widow Marion. Although I watched the original Mr. Boogedy a lot, this is the one I like the best. I used to watch it with my friend Jill all the time back in the day because she's the one who owned a copy of it. And it got to the point where we would actually have arguments because that was all I wanted to watch. And she, of course, owning the film, was sick and tired of watching it. So thanks for putting up with me, Jill. So in this movie, we have a wax museum, which always makes for a creepy setting, and I absolutely love that. There is fortune telling and a small town carnival where the residents dress in costumes. Enjoyable for the whole family. Next on this list is The Witches, 1990. A boy named Luke and his grandmother stay in a hotel where come to find out the Grand High Witch is holding a convention for witches all around the world. They have made a chocolate that when eaten will turn children into mice. Luke and his grandmother must find a way to stop them from getting this chocolate to the public. There's also a remake done in 2020, but I haven't seen it. I haven't heard great things about it. And again, growing up with the original being a classic, I don't know. I'm just not going to rush out and watch it. So this movie was a lot of fun. I really like Angelica Houston. I think that she does a great job in every movie that she does, even if the movie itself isn't great. Now, if you're ever a part of a club, you and your friends growing up, of any kind, doesn't matter, horror, books, whatever it may be, I think this movie will be right up your alley. We have The Monster Squad, 1987. This is a group of kids that love horror and are obsessed with monsters. They find out from a German neighbor that not only are monsters real, but if not stopped, they will take over the world. There's Wolfman, Dracula, Gillman, The Mummy, and Frankenstein's monster. This is a perfect 80s film. They had good music, they had good acting, they had a really good storyline. I just absolutely love this movie. I have seen it multiple times. And as a matter of fact, for my last birthday, I had a bunch of the kids in my family. They were over here and we all watched this movie on the backyard projector. So much fun. Up next is The Worst Witch, 1986. This is not at all scary, but so much fun. We follow Mildred Hubble, played by Fairuza Balk. She's a young student at a very prestigious witch academy, and poor Mildred just can't seem to do anything right. She's bad at potions, spells, dressing herself, you name it. She also has your typical spoiled brat bully. This movie is a lot of fun with some very catchy songs, and playing the Grand Wizard, we've got the great Tim Curry. I mean, come on. Come on. Next up, we have The Watcher in the Woods, 1980. A family moves to the British countryside and moves into a house which is also occupied by the owner, Mrs. Aylwood. Mrs. Aylwood's daughter, Karen, went missing many years earlier during a total eclipse, and it seems as though Karen is haunting the daughters. The oldest, Jan, is trying to figure out what happened to Karen all those years ago. There are many creepy sightings of Karen, along with other happenings in the woods. This movie was remade in 2007. I do not recommend the remake. This was another movie that I watched many times with my sister as a kid, and I actually had a little Shih Tzu dog that I named Narek because of this movie. I just wanted to show you guys really quick. As I'm doing this, Vincent wanted to get in on it. Let's say hi. Hi, Vincent. Who's a big boy? Yeah, you're such a good guy. Big ol' stretch. Yeah. Sorry, I just couldn't help it. Things are starting to get a little bit darker with this one. We have 1983's Something Wicked This Way Comes. The small town of Greentown gets a little more excitement than any of the residents could have expected when a sinister traveling carnival, led by their ringleader, Mr. Dark, arrives in the month of October. Those that are a part of the carnival are known as the Autumn People. They are here to grant your every wish, but at what cost? This was a movie that actually terrified me as a child. I was actually scared of carnivals after this. Not for very long. I am back to loving them, but for a while there, this one really got under my skin. It's got amazing acting, and the mood set for this movie is just phenomenal. This is the epitome of small town living. You have a barber, the librarian, the football star that dreams of his former glory, the elderly school teacher, yearning for her lost youth and beauty, and the two best friends that see a little too much. Everything they did about this movie was beautiful and creepy and just screams Halloween and the Halloween season. And now for the last on the list, we have 1988's The Lady in White. Best-selling author Frankie goes back to his small hometown, which is the setting for his most recent book. It tells the story of a horrifying event that happened in his childhood. Set in the 60s, Frankie gets locked in the school cloakroom on Halloween. That night, he witnesses a ghost's murder and then is himself attacked. 12 children have been murdered. Frankie would have been number 13. Melissa, the first victim, and the ghost he saw murdered, is trying to help him solve this case. The cast is amazing. Frankie's grandparents are hilarious, and his older brother is the perfect mix between antagonist and caring. Love, love, love this movie. This is another movie that just the setting, and even though it's only about the first 15 minutes that occurs on Halloween, it doesn't go further than the end of winter. So you still have the perfect feel of autumn. You have the leaves blowing in the wind, which I absolutely love. You've got the small town, which again, I absolutely love. There are just so many aspects that, when put together, made this fabulous, fun time Halloween movie. And there you have it. So all of these movies and even the cartoons, when we would watch them, our parents more often than not would be right there beside us watching them and enjoying them just as much as we did. So you know the type of movies your kids like. They might enjoy this, and I think you will too. So if you like this kind of content, think about liking and subscribing. Leave me a comment. I love reading them. I love responding. And we'll see you next time.